During the 1930s, the political turmoil in Europe compelled many nations to invest in the development of new weapons. The Royal Yugoslav Air Force sought to replace its aging biplane fighters with modern low-wing aircraft. This goal was partially achieved by purchasing advanced models like the German Me-109 and the British Hurricane, both considered among the best designs of their time. However, some in Yugoslavia, despite the meager budget, also saw potential for a domestically developed aircraft. Two Yugoslav aviation engineers, Ljubomir Ilić and Kosta Sivčev from the Ikarus aircraft manufacturer, took on the challenge of designing a new fighter. Their efforts eventually led to the creation of the IK-3, a relatively modern aircraft that entered limited production. Unfortunately, the outbreak of war between Yugoslavia and the Axis powers in 1941 abruptly halted further development, and all planes were spent in the fiery battles above Belgrade. Yugoslavia's first real step into modern fighter design was the high-wing IK-2 created by engineers Ljubomir Ilić and Kosta Sivčev, which we've already explored in a previous video. At the time, there had been talk of developing a low-wing fighter, but conservative voices within the Air Force pushed back, clinging to outdated designs. It would not take long, however, for the superiority of low-wing fighters to become undeniable, forcing a change in thinking. In 1933, Ilić and Sivčev set out to design an all-new low-wing fighter. They soon realized the project was too ambitious for just the two of them, so they brought in another young engineer, Slobodan Zernić. Together, the trio refined their concept over the next few years, and by 1936, they had a finalized design ready for review. After careful consideration, the project was approved at the end of March 1937. A deal was struck for a prototype to be built and tested. Unlike the earlier IK-2, which had been manufactured by Ikarus, the new design was handed to Rogožarski, a company with more experience building wooden airframes. To keep costs down and speed up development, the new fighter would be built primarily from wood, a compromise which reflected Yugoslavia's limited resources, but also the determination to get this aircraft off the drawing board and into the skies. By 1938, the first prototype was ready. Sleek and modern in appearance, it stood out as one of the most advanced designs Yugoslavia had produced up to that point. The aircraft featured a mixed construction airframe and was powered by a 925 horsepower Hispano-Suiza 12Y29 engine. Its maiden flight took place on the 14th of April 1938, with a series of initial test flights conducted near the capital Belgrade at Zemun. Throughout this period, no significant issues were reported, and the aircraft was subsequently handed over to the Air Force for further evaluation. Its maiden flight took place on April 14, 1938, with a series of early test flights carried out near Belgrade at Zemun. These initial flights revealed no serious issues, and the aircraft was soon handed over to the Air Force for further evaluation. To oversee the trials, a commission of Army officials was appointed. The testing program was planned for 100 flight hours, with the aircraft in its fully armed configuration. This included a 20mm cannon mounted along the center line, firing through the propeller hub, and two 7.92mm machine guns fitted into the upper engine cowling. When the tests concluded, the final report judged the aircraft's performance as satisfactory. Its armament operated as expected, and overall flight characteristics were good. Still, not everything was perfect. The controls were found to be somewhat troublesome, prompting a recommendation to redesign the flaps. In trials, the aircraft managed a top speed of just over 520 km per hour, or 323 miles per hour. While this was considered acceptable, the Air Force Commission demanded more, at least 540 km per hour or 335 miles per hour, a figure the aircraft never managed to reach. Even so, the design showed enough promise to justify further development. Convinced of its potential, the Air Force placed a small production order for 12 units. The IK-3 was a low-wing single-seat fighter with a mixed construction design. Its fuselage was built from welded metal tubes reinforced with wooden stringers and covered in duralumin skin. The rear portion of the fuselage was clad in plywood and canvas. The wings were primarily wooden, with metal reinforcements to enhance structural integrity. Birch plywood covered the wings, which were then overlaid with bakelite. The ailerons were constructed from metal, but covered in canvas. while the trailing edge flaps were made from duralumin, assembled using the same materials as the wings. The landing gear had a conventional design consisting of two front legs that retracted outward with a fully retractable tail wheel. To improve landings, the front landing gear was equipped with shock absorbers. However, the IK-3's landing gear was of poor quality, often failing during landings, which resulted in frequent repairs for the aircraft. The IK-3's initial armament included a 20mm HS-404 cannon mounted behind the engine and two 7.7mm M31 Darn machine guns positioned above the engine. Later production models featured an upgraded armament with a 20mm Ehrlichen M39 cannon loaded with 60 rounds, while the 7.7mm machine guns were replaced by two 7.92mm Browning machine guns, each supplied with 500 rounds of ammunition. The project ran into serious trouble early on when in January 1939, the prototype and its pilot were both lost in a crash. A commission was quickly formed to investigate. After studying the wreckage, they concluded that neither the aircraft's structural design nor the pilot's actions were responsible. The true cause was never fully established, though it is believed that a previous pilot may have performed a hard landing that caused hidden mechanical damage that went undetected in time. While the accident did not cancel the program, it created major delays. Air Force officials demanded extensive re-examinations and further testing before committing to additional orders. At last, in November 1939, approval was granted for production to continue. The second prototype, also serving as the first production aircraft, was completed in December 1939, and after several months of trials, deliveries finally began. By April 1940, 5 aircrafts were finished, with the remaining 6 held up until July due to shortages of suitable propellers. In early March of 1940, Rogožarski officials proposed another production run of 25 to 50 improved models of this aircraft. Planned upgrades included self-sealing fuel tanks, a redesigned radiator, new radio equipment, and armored seating for the pilot. The 7th aircraft off the line was selected as the prototype for this improved series, and by March 1941 it was completed. Unfortunately, the Axis invasion of Yugoslavia the following month brought all further work to an abrupt halt. Some accounts claim that one IK-3 was tested with a German DP601 engine. However, no historical documentation or photographic evidence has confirmed this claim. At the time, a Hurricane was actually tested with the same engine, suggesting that eyewitnesses may have mistaken the two aircraft. A proposal for a two-seat trainer variant of IK-3 was also floated, but it never progressed beyond the drawing board. In July 1940, all IK-3 aircraft were assigned to the 51st Fighter Group. The planes were distributed between two squadrons, the 161st and the 162nd, each with 6 aircraft stationed at Zemun Airfield. However, since many pilots were still unfamiliar with flying modern aircraft, rough landings became a frequent issue. As a result, several IK-3s often ended up in workshops for repairs to their landing gear. In September 1940, tragedy struck during a mock dogfight when an IK-3 pilot lost control of his aircraft and crashed into the Danube River. The pilot did not survive and the fighter was damaged beyond recovery. The exact cause of the accident was never firmly established, though it was speculated that the pilot may have been severely fatigued from earlier flights. Just before the outbreak of war between Yugoslavia and the Axis powers in April 1941, only 6 IK-3 aircraft were combat ready, while another 5 were undergoing repairs. Of these, 3 were in the Rogožarski workshop in Bezaniska Kosta, and 2 were at the Zemun airfield. The war began on the morning of April 6 with massive Luftwaffe air raids aimed at Yugoslavia's military, communication, and infrastructure sites, as well as civilian areas. The entire 6th Fighter Regiment, including the 51st Fighter Group, were tasked with protecting the capital city of Belgrade, which was one of the primary targets. Nearly an hour before the assault, the 51st Fighter Group was alerted to the likelihood of an enemy strike, and all available IK-3s were scrambled to protect the capital. However, one aircraft was forced to abort its mission and return to base due to engine trouble. In the opening engagement, the Yugoslav defenders downed 5 to 6 enemy aircraft, though one IK-3 was lost and 3 others sustained damage, 2 of them so badly that they were no longer combat-worthy. This left only 3 IK-3s operational. Later that morning, another bombing raid targeted Belgrade. Despite their reduced strength, the surviving IK-3s joined with Yugoslav Me-109s from the 51st Group to intercept the attackers. This time, the defenders suffered no losses, shooting down one enemy fighter and damaging 2 bombers. On April 7th, enemy activity shifted to smaller formations targeting specific objectives, and once again the IK-3s were called into action. They succeeded in downing several enemy aircraft, but although no fighters were lost, many sustained significant damage during the engagement. One IK-3, for instance, sustained 56 hits, 20 of them directly to the engine. Though drenched in oil, the pilot managed to bring the battered fighter down safely at Zemun airfield. The aircraft, however, was deemed a total loss. Because of the intensifying enemy pressure, the unit was relocated roughly 50 kilometers from Belgrade to Ruma. For several days, poor weather restricted their activity. On April 11th, a German Me-110 located their base and attempted to strafe the airfield but caused no damage. An IK-3 pilot scrambled in pursuit, caught the attacker, and shot it down. That same day, 2 more IK-3s intercepted and destroyed a pair of Ju-87 dive bombers. As German ground forces advanced, orders were given to move the remaining aircraft to Bosnia. The withdrawal was scheduled for the following day, but worsening weather and rapid enemy breakthroughs made the evacuation impossible. Facing capture, the squadron commander and his pilots chose to destroy their aircraft rather than let them fall into enemy hands. With this, the IK-3's brief combat career came to an end. In total, the 161st and 162nd Squadrons scored around 15 confirmed air victories. The victorious Germans managed to capture several IK-3 fighters, both operational and damaged. Most were found in repair workshops, while a few more were left behind at Zemun airfield. These aircraft sat exposed to the elements near Belgrade until 1942, when they were scrapped along with other captured planes. At least one IK-3 was transported to Germany, though it is unlikely that it was ever tested. Some accounts suggest that it may have been displayed in the Berlin Aviation Museum. It was almost certainly destroyed when the museum was bombed by the Allies in 1944. That wraps up our look at the Yugoslav IK-3 fighter. What are your thoughts on this little-known attempt to create a modern low-wing fighter? Would you like to see more about Yugoslav aviation history in future videos? Let us know in the comments below. If you'd like to dive deeper, check out our full collection of articles on our website at plane-encyclopedia.com. Thank you for watching and see you next time.